All right, everyone. We are live. We are live. What's up, everyone? Wagwan, America, Jamaica, Canada,
One, well,
UK.
one.
Life is life in.
Man,
Louis, I'll go ahead and let you get started as I share the page.
absolutely, absolutely. So we want to welcome each and everyone this evening to another episode of the Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. My name is Louis Witter. We have the host of the show here, Miss Donna Morton. Morgan is with us, a special guest we have this evening, and we'll get into that. But I just want to welcome everyone this evening that are listening from across the diaspora, across the Caribbean, and across the world to another episode. Welcome, each and every one.
Yes, and Dr. Arlene.
Dr. Arlene, welcome, my dear.
Thank you. It's so good to be here again on this awesome platform.
Amen.
Yes, we all month we've been focused. We are dedicated to men, having the male presenters. We want to say happy Father's Day, right? Because that's right around the corner. We
Mm.
know we don't see a lot of commercials like we do with moms. Okay, but that's okay. We love and appreciate the men, the fathers in the home, those that are even if those are just stepping out to be a father, to play that father role. Sometimes you can't be in the home. There's certain things going on. Um, and tonight's topic is definitely the negative impact of the fatherless home, or we should say maybe the fatherless role,
Mm.
right? Because sometimes that father can be in the role in the home, but the role is also not positive. So, the whole idea is to have the father in the life of the child or the children. Um, so we are excited. Again, thank you, everyone. My name is Donna Morton Morgan. I am the president of Caribbean American Diaspora, Women of Culture Inc., real estate broker, life insurance broker, and mindset and healthy lifestyle coach. I know towards the end, we're going to definitely take a few minutes to talk about health and wellness because that is important for men, women, children. We're in a really high crisis of decline, actually in mental health and physical health, everything, right? So we need to talk about that. I know Louis has some personal tips. I've done my personal tips too. Louis is doing them, so everyone's doing their personal experience, and we're going to share about that later on. I also want to say thank you for those that came out to the Caribbean Diaspora 5K walk last weekend. We had an amazing turnout. We were able to raise funds for
Nice.
Jamaica and Haiti. So we appreciate that. So tonight we have our topic is the impact of the fatherless home, and our guest tonight is from all the way from Jamaica. So
Yes.
he's sitting right now on his veranda and enjoying the heat, enjoying the sun, as well as the sun is going down. And
A little bit of
we'll,
breeze.
right, we'll let him introduce himself. But I really just thought, this man is in the trenches and he sees both sides. He sees those homes with fathers, and he sees those without. And in the Caribbean and Jamaica, it's a high ratio, I believe, of fatherless homes. And we're seeing the children like behave in a certain way, act in a certain way, and then we're kind of like blaming the children. What's wrong with these kids of today? Them not have no manners, them not have this, they don't have this, right? And
Hmm.
we need to kind of understand that there's some discipline. And not saying moms are wonderful. I was a single mom, so it can be done. But it doesn't mean that, we still need the father. Just like we need the father to make the child, we need to understand we need the father in the life of the child to continue, not just to drop off and just be the sperm donor and say, all right, so we have that mindset, and that could be a colonized mindset that we've adopted. So we need to look at that because it's having a very grave impact, and we need to, even if father is not in the house, could be for whatever reason, right? But in the life of the child or the children, that's important. So we'll focus on that because it may be something where he can't be in the home. We don't know, violence of anything, addiction, but it should not prevent the father from being in the life of the child. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Renford.
Welcome, Brother Renford.
Hi. Yes,
Need
So
some
tell us
volume
about,
from you.
great. On.
Um,
Some
Yes.
volume?
Can you hear me well?
No, little more volume, some more
Yeah.
volume.
Hmm.
I heard like
Maximum volume.
okay.
All
Can you
right.
hear me well?
Go ahead. Just go ahead. We're good.
Maximum. Am I okay?
Okay.
You're coming through okay on my end. I'll just turn up mine. It's fine.
yes, go ahead and just introduce yourself and we'll jump right in.
Yes. How is it now?
A little better.
It's better.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so yeah, my name, yeah, Renford Jeffrey is my name, and I'm coming to you live from Jamaica. I'm actually in Kidston, which is just outside of Spanish Town. I was born in Jamaica in Waterhouse, grew up in Waterhouse in a single parent home because my father left for England when I was just 3 months and came back when I was returned just for 2 weeks when I was 17. So for all of my early childhood, my father wasn't there, and then he left again. So I think in total, in all my life, maybe I haven't spent 3 months in with my father because he left again. So we were raised by a single mother in an inner-city community where there's poverty and some of the benefits or the advantages that I have that young people have today, we didn't have it. No television, no refrigeration, one pair of shoes, go to bed without food, you name it. Sundays, porridge sometimes, and no breakfast and whatever. But in the middle of that, I made it out, made good choices, and we can talk more about that. So when we talk about fatherlessness, I have lived experience in that, and with positive outcomes, with quote unquote, because it was not perfection. So while outwardly I did well, I didn't get involved in any crime and violence, and I didn't become a baby father and all of these, and involved in any gang activity. The absence of a father in my life took its toll in the sense of it affected my self-esteem and my sense of being a man. Because where do you get your concept of a man? If you're a boy being raised, and you're raised by your mother, your concept of a father, of a man, where do you get that from? Your sense of identity. Where does that come from? So the topic is about the negative effects of fatherless homes. Is that the case?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And in order for us to understand the negative effects, first we'd have to look at the positive effects of having fathers. And then you'll understand, and then you reverse it. The role of a father in the life of his children. Number one, it helps to form their identity. Number two, it aids in their emotional development. Number three, their moral and character development. Number four, their intellectual and educational development. Number 5, their social development. Number 6, protection and security. Number 7, preparation for adulthood. And number 8, spiritual development. So this is how powerful fathers are. These are some of the things that fathers aid in. All right? So you can imagine if fathers bring these to the table, what is it like without a father? All of these areas, you're going to have challenges, you know? So I can literally think about the current situation in Jamaica, and it's an epidemic going on, a pandemic or a endemic in terms of fatherlessness. When I actually go into schools, because I'm in primary schools, I'm in basic schools, I'm in training center, and when I go before classes to speak to people, and if I have 50 children in the class, and I ask them, how many of you have your fathers playing an active role in your life? If you have 5 hands go up in a class of 50, you're very fortunate.
Wow.
Overwhelmingly. And all the boys, so in addition to being in classes, I'm doing one-on-one mentorship, relationship building with many of these boys. And every single one of them, they don't have fathers in their life, whether the father was killed, whether the father is in prison, whether the father is emigrated, or the family, the relationship disintegrated, and the father is living in one home, and the child is living in another home with the mother. But here's the thing, here's the alarming thing that I have found out. Many of the fathers who have children, they themselves did not have fathers in their lives, so they don't know how to be fathers.
True, very true. Generational.
So it's a generational cycle. We're meeting fathers, and I'm like, I'm actually, let me give you a quick scenario in terms of what's going on. So a young boy, is age 12, was referred to me by a school because he was expelled from another school, and the father took him to that school for admission, and they called me and said they want me to meet with the father and the son. It took me, first red flag, it took me days for the father to get back to me. He's busy with work and all of these things. Eventually, we set up a meeting. I met them at the school, and here's the scenario. So the little boy is 12. I would say 12 going on to 40. You know why? He's involved in gang activity already. He's living with his stepmother and threatening to kill her. You name it. It's all the negatives. You know, really a bad situation. So when I spoke with first I spoke with the father. Here is the situation in which this child was born. His father said he was getting old and he wanted a youth. So he said, they have a saying in Jamaica, we're gone by the man, he can't hardly. So the circumstance under which this child was born, it wasn't ideal. So he was getting old and he wanted a youth. So I guess the first woman he went out there and saw was willing to have a youth for him. He had a youth. Unfortunately, he found out that this lady had other children and she has no interest in raising children. So that child was rejected by his mother. When I saw the child, you know, the first thing he told me, one of the things, because he's telling me how about his mother and whatever, he said, his mother said to him, he must go and walk in front of a car.
Wow.
You know what? So the mother is saying, I wish you were dead. All right? So the father now took the child and he's married now to another lady. So this boy is with his stepmother and he can't get along with the stepmother. So he's bouncing between his father and his mother. And so the stepmother had enough and didn't want anything to do with him. The mother don't want anything to do with him. And I'm saying to the father, it's your responsibility now to build a relationship with the child. And he said, I don't know what to do. And I set up another meeting, and then the father does. So he stopped calling me, And then I called him just recently, and he said he sent the boy down to some yard to stay. So the father is not in the life of the child. The mother is not in the life of the child. The stepmother don't want the child. And I asked the father, what about his aunts and uncles and cousins? They said nobody wants him. So you tell me what the future holds for this
Right.
child. Very, very troubling. And this is just one case scenario. And what is the outcome? And you can multiply it ad infinitum by many dozens. And this is what we are going on around us. So whenever you think about fatherlessness, the first thing that should come to your mind, the word is rejection. And rejection is the most detrimental thing that can happen. Can you imagine the people who brought you into the world don't want anything to do with you? So your perception of the world is shaped by that. So if my mother and father do not want me, I don't have a stake in the world, I don't have a sense of belonging, so that you're going to look your sense of belonging from gang activity, or because the most basic need that we have is the need to belong as human beings. And if your mother and your father not in your life, you're going to try and find it somewhere. So it's not surprising that it's gang activity. And the trajectory of that child is not good if there's no intervention. And unfortunately, the father has withdrawn. We set up a lot of meetings with the mother. We couldn't get them together. So that child has been rejected. You could parallel it to my case. My father was in my life because he went away, but my mother was there. And she played the role of mother and father and make sure that we're well taken care of. And even then, you know, they say Jamaican parents, old-time parents, they don't tell you that they love you. You never hear that I love you, but you know that they love you. You know? You just know it. They take care of you.
We all went through that. Every single one of us. We were teaching them in their older years, if you're lucky, about love, how to speak it and show it.
Show it.
Yeah.
So all right, so I'm 66 now, and my father and my mother, they have passed on. So eventually my father came back to Jamaica when I was 17 and took my mother. So from 17, I've been on my own. All right? Wow. So there you go. My mother, who was a part of my life, went and be with my father from 17. So I was on my own trying to find my way around. And I am 66 and they have now gone, and I've never heard from any one of them that I love you. Even my father, listen, I'm very open and honest. I grew up with my mother. And when my mother passed away, I cried at Dunn's River Falls, all right? Because it was so traumatic to me. My father died 6 years ago, and I'm yet to shed a tear because he was a complete stranger to me. Right. When my father was coming back from England to look for us after 17 years, you know what was the biggest conundrum that my brothers and sisters had? What to call him? Daddy, Papa, Father.
Our brethren.
Uncle.
All right. So here's a problem that we have, that there are so many fathers who are not actively involved in the life of their children. And when they're older, the children can't even relate to them. And many of the men who you see floating around and being homeless and all of these things, the children are completely stranger to them. All right? Because the saying goes, take care of your children and be in their life, because they're going to choose your nursing home for you.
Right.
And so it's a vicious cycle of children not having, so not only has implication for the child in terms of their psychological, spiritual, physical, emotional development, fatherlessness, it wreaks havoc in their life in so many different ways. And but it has a generational effect where these children in turn don't have anything much to do with their parents. Right. And we need to, in order to even, I don't even know if we want to go into how this is so complex because I have met fathers in Jamaica who want to be in the life of their children, and they have been kept at bay by the mothers
That
Yes,
who are
too.
holding the children hostage for more money.
very important
All right.
topic. Yes.
And so it's very complex. So you hear about, before we jump on fathers, and we're going to talk more about what we need to be doing with fathers in terms of how we're going to come to remedies and solutions.
Right.
But before we jump on the bandwagon and start to call father sperm donor, deadbeat, all manner dog, we need to begin to start to validate men, listen to them, and understand their situation. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding. Why not? So maybe we're going into solution now. Even if their Father Day is coming up this Sunday, you know, and many fathers will not be acknowledged by their children because they hear a bad story from their mother. So I would say to someone today that maybe you don't want to buy a gift for your father because he was in his life, but how about calling him up and have a conversation with him and hear his side of the story? And you'll be very surprised. So I'm going to ask the question again. If you weren't fathered, how, and I'm throwing it out there, how do you become a, because that was the case for me, you know. When I got married and started to have children, trust me on that one, I didn't know what to do. Like I'm like, I wake up the morning after my wedding and say, what did I do? And then
That's a valid point, though, you know.
Huh?
That's a valid outlook, because if you didn't see it, right? So you didn't see, and even sometimes what we see in the home, so it can be positive or negative, right? So we learn. In your case, you
Yes.
didn't learn. So then here you come now as a husband, as a father, and you're expected to do this role, to take on this role, but you have no idea. You didn't go to
What you
training.
do?
At least
No.
with jobs, we get training, right? And we say, here are these rules. You must come in here, there. You have to do your work like this, right? But
Yeah. You have
as
a
parents, we
procedure and
really,
policy
yeah,
manual.
yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have that. And especially, so you didn't see dad with
Yeah.
mom, helping mom cook or clean or just being loving to each other. So you didn't see that.
Yeah. So here's what changed my life now. Because all right, it was so painful. Not having my father in my life was so painful. I became very angry. And this is one of the major factors that is driving the anger in these young people, the absence of their fathers. And I became very angry when I was about 8, 9, because I see other people with their fathers in their life. And I'm like, where's my father? And I had to be telling lies, say that he's a soldier and he's gone to fight the war. And nothing goes like that in order to take the shame out of my eyes. But you know what I did? At about age 9 or so, I asked my mother for his address in England, and then she didn't know what I was going to do. And I had the wherewithal. So I dealt with the rejection rather than bottle it up. I wrote him a letter, and I'm saying, where are you? Everybody has their father in their life, and you're gone. And I wrote a letter to him, didn't tell my mother that I wrote it. And he was so angry with my mother and believed that it was my mother who orchestrated that letter. So that started assuage my anger. But guess what? I was about 9. And do you know that my father held that against me until I was like 40 something. And when my mother died, he started to attack me on that, because he was offended because I actually confronted him with truth, which he didn't like. But he started to assuage my anger. So it really had a detrimental effect upon me and my upbringing. And people may say, well, Renford, you did well and your mother did well. Not really. I didn't know how to be a man, like stand up to conflicts and problems, I run away from conflicts and pride because I didn't know what to do. I didn't receive. I don't have an example of how a man should be. And this is the problem with our young people coming up, these boys. They don't know how to be men. So some of them believe that being men is to have baby mother, 5, 6, 7 year baby mother. Being a man is so if you don't know and you never had an example of what a real man is in terms of responsibility and sacrifice and whatever, you're going to find it somewhere. You're going to look out the street and see men doing things and start to initiate that and say, oh, that's how a man should be. Because here's a thing that I don't think you know about in Jamaica. After you reach a certain age, the men in the community, it's like a gang initiation. They get a girl for you, they're trying to break you in. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
First time I hear that.
Yeah. First year hearing that?
It's a new age.
All right, so let me tell you what they did to me. I was about 12, and they caught me and put me in a room and locked me up with a girl inside there.
What?
And said, you're not coming out. And guess what I did? I looked at her, she looked at me, I didn't know what to do. I started to bang on the door. I said, Mama, Mom.
That was the right choice.
Yes.
And guess what I was called from that day on?
Oh, yes.
You know what I was called?
Mama's boy.
Huh?
Mama's boy.
No, not mama's boy. I was a homosexual from that day on. All right? So that was my label because I refused to be initiated. Thank God I was a late bloomer, eh? So I can attest to the fact that I went through teenage life, not having any baby mother, and I told people that I grew up in Jamaica, and up to this very day, I never smoked weed yet, and don't have any baby mother. And people say, I lie, I tell you, you must smoke weed. No, I just knew listen, I was very obedient, and if my mother said A, I did it. If she said, don't go anywhere, I did it. I grew up in an inner city community, so obedience is very important. If my mother said, don't go up the road, you stay put. My brothers and sisters used to laugh at me and say, you're too silly. You don't have to listen to her, but I did, and I think it made a difference in my life. You know?
Yes.
So it's hard growing up without a father, and then you're going to face bullying. I was bullied a whole lot because you don't have a father to defend you. All right? And call names. And I know, I've spoken about this before, that Jamaica is 90% black, but you can be too black in Jamaica. And I have encountered, I don't know if you can call it racism, you call it colorism, but it's just as bad as racism sometimes because you're ostracized. So for most of my childhood, I didn't have any friends. So the fact that my father was in my life, that was a cause for concern. Then I didn't have much friends because I was too poor and I was too black. So I had so many things working against me. But if my father was in my life, he would have mitigated many of these. But thank God, I can tell you how my life, in addition, so I can tell you, these are all the risk factors, the poverty and the fatherlessness. So you may be saying, what turned it around for you, Renford? The presence of my mother in my life, which I knew she loved us, she sacrificed for us, she provided for us. So that was a huge protective factor that prevented me from going down a negative pathway. Then, when I became interested in girls now and looking out to the men in the community and see what they're doing, I was planning to go down that path. Then I started attending church, and church put me in a different trajectory. All right. So along the way, there are different factors that came into play at the right time that put me on a different path. So I didn't get to go down any path of gang and drugs and whatever. And And from there, so it's just like God put people in my life along the way that helped me to. So even though I didn't have a father, all right. So the most important thing about going to church, it was not you go praise the Lord, but I found people who are interested in my well-being and asking me how I'm doing. These elderly ladies took me home to have tea with them and checking out for you, and which is very important for the socialization factor. Yeah, so we're coming up with solutions, So for mothers who have children and they don't have their fathers in their life, get them involved in clubs or Boy Scout or church activity where they can get to interact with other people. I hear what is important in my life. I grew up in Waterhouse, which is an inner city community, and it's gangs and drugs and political violence. And it's so that I was invited to church. I was working at the blood bank, the National Youth Service, and somebody invited me to church, and he became my mentor. So, but the church was like in an upper middle class community where there are doctors and lawyers and professionals. So the first time in my life, I left inner city and got exposed to people who are lawyers and doctors and started to rub shoulder with them. And the good thing that they saw me as one of their own. Like I felt like I belong. So all along the way, God put it in my path where I felt belong. So these people embrace me. And it is from there that my gifts and talents start to come out and start to shape me. From there, I became a nurse. And then worked in Jamaica for 7 years, and then I went to Canada for 30 years, and then the rest is history. I came back and whatever. So along the way, I could see the influence of my mother, the influence of the church, and all of these things in my life, and various individuals who took an interest in me that caused a positive outcome in my life, and to cancel out the negative factors of not having a father in my life.
You got a journey there, my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a journey, and sometimes it's good. I have a similar situation with you. I didn't grow up with my father, and sometimes I wonder what would happen to me if I had my father. How would I feel, just like any other kids, So I can feel what you went through. As a Jamaican, I went through a similar thing, but I give thanks for my grandfather that came in and make a difference in my life. And so when we talk about absentee of fathers in the house, we should also remember the grandfathers who have played a significant role in the life of many, many, many kids. We can change the fact that a lot of men out there, I heard, Donna said it earlier on, are, donors for sperm. And it's a fact. There's a lot of men that go around, and it came from slavery. There were men for slavery who, because of their stature in life and how they look and strong, they became donors of kids. And these things follow us. A lot of these things follow us, even though, and it's because of lack of, we mention again, knowledge and understanding. We don't realize that these are spirit. Those are spirit that follows us, and we continue, a lot of us continue in the same direction. Father, come, let go, gone. But one of the things I would love to say in defense of women, is especially my mother. A lot of women go around and they will call the son, good, you like your papa, blah, blah, blah. We know the story of some of the women diss the man. And I think that is something that we need to teach our women to stop those things, because those are negative words and spirit that goes on these sons. You, my brother, because you didn't have that, because you have a gracious woman, mother, because you have a mother that knows better, she did not put that negativeness on you about your father. And so you were able to grow with the spirit of grace and love and obedience. What I hear you were saying is that you were very obedient to your mother, and you even came out much better than your other siblings.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we must understand and encourage women today to do is stop demand them, even though they're not in your life. Because when you do that, you're putting a spell on that son. You're spelling that son. You're putting a spirit of lack, of spirit of laziness, a lot of stuff. A lot of them becomes thieves overnight, and a lot of them back in Jamaica now. Everybody want to go do a quick scheme to make a money. And so there's a lot of things there we can look on. You know, I see that you have excelled, and God was with you, been with you from day one, and he steers you out of that situation that your father left you in. We can't change that. We want to. Just today I was talking to a brethren that have a daughter with a woman, and that woman's been dissing the man for so long and telling lies about the father no good. And the brethren, he go to jail 3-4 times for child support. I mean, these are the things that a lot of the women do to us as men, our fathers, our kids. And sometimes we also need to make sure that we're talking to the women in this father realm, in this realm of celebrating Father's Day and all of that stuff. The women play a very vital role how the kids comes out, because when the father gone, and you start this and you start that and you pay for your pooper, and that's why you now come out to nothing good. Oh gosh, let me tell you something. That is a danger to a lot of our kids. You know, and so I give thanks. I see you have been excel in your life, my brother. I know you for a while now, and I've always respect the way how you move, and I've seen the spirit inside of you. You have a special spirit from day one, brethren. You have a very special spirit, and that's why you're where you are and that you excel. So I just wanted to just commend you in terms of, you know, keeping your head up all these years. Never diss your father, never diss anyone, but just focus. And a lot of us sometimes better off. I'm better off probably today if I don't know my father. My father died from I was 9 years old. I never know him. But I think I'm better off having him around. You know,
Yeah.
I am good with where I am. I'm not doing the best of life. But I think if my father was around, it would be a better thing. So a lot of us, we should give thanks, yes, for the seed that he brought us into this world with. But a lot of us, brethren, came out very, very good without a father. And so as we celebrate and talk about fathers and absentee, we also want to praise some of the women. We also want to praise them, because I remember my mother, a five wish she have, you know, and no father. No father didn't around my mother. I miss my mother hustling now. Also, when I say, she also to send my brother to university, send me to school. I remember the days that me actually walk up and down at Kingston and try to get me in a school, Wolmer's High School, KC, and for whatever reason, I never get into them. But I remember the days, she said, come Louis, come my son, me I get you in one of them school, yeah, because she wanted the best high school for me. Until it just didn't happen. And I said, you know what? That's just well. But now that we're talking about it, all this memory come back. There are some great mothers that play the role of mother, father, brother, sister, everybody. And we also must remember those women that really step up and did not. I never hear my mother one day talk about my father. never one day talk about my father, whether him. She's us. The only thing I remember is to say, "You walk like your father. You walk bossy like your father." She always used to say that. But that's the only thing I heard my mother said about my father. Nothing else. So we give thanks to those
Yeah.
women that really step up and play the role of both fathers and mothers. And yeah,
And you
I
know,
yield
Louis,
back.
it impacts also not just the young boys, but it also impacts the young girl when she does not see a dad, a father
Yes,
figure in her life, because then she does not know what to
expect.
expect or receive or to allow. So that's a whole nother trajectory that happens. So
Yes.
now she comes up in the world and then she didn't have an example
Yep.
to say no, 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 or to say, well, she saw her mom and dad interact in a loving way. So those are, I mean, this is what's happening, people,
Yes.
when we don't have the two people at least working together. Even if you don't live in the same house, there are a lot of people, and I love the fact now that now we're seeing more co-parenting. At least I think this generation has done a better job with co-parenting, sometimes one week, the next one the next week.
Mm.
And then so I see that we didn't really have that. And
Yes.
again, so but a lot of this, like you mentioned, is slavery was not just physical.
Mm.
It was meant to reduce, like Ren said, the identity.
Yes. Of the
When
father.
you reduce, so when and we talked about this last week, when Toby was being whipped, it wasn't because he didn't pick cotton or he was being whipped to forget his name, to conform with the new identity, and he refused. And so he was beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten because he refused to let go of his identity. And so that's what it's about. So our identity, and because people need to understand it, like culture, things get passed on generation after generation after generation, right? So identity is reduced, which is the biggest thing, because once they reduce your identity, the low self-worth, you're what, three-quarters of a man,
Mm. Yeah,
right?
that's what they have us. Yeah.
All of that. So, and then the black man is again beaten in the front of the black woman. So that's all to lose respect, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all these things happen, and then generation after generation, it's just gotten loss of culture, loss of spiritual practices, just loss of identity.
Yes.
And yes, some of us really make it out, thank God, to some amazing parents and grandparents. Sometimes the parents not around, but sometimes those grandparents,
They step in big
they
time.
step in. So thank God for them. But some people, like Ren started out with, they don't know. Everything is a rejection.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of those cases, and we see, and then so that's why they form the gangs, because they need love.
Yeah,
Yep.
comes down to love.
Love and
One
The
identity.
word.
love, the love
This is
revolution. That's what it's all about. The Bible said love is the number one commandment. And that's the number one thing that's missing on this earth. And that's why we have so many wars and fighting going on. It's lack of love on all scales. So we have to, I would love to see some father son meetings, interaction, Ren. I know you're out there and it's just you, but I mean, this
I'll,
platform is here.
I'll
So,
tell you something that I have in mind when you're finished. Some
yeah, but this
initiative
this
that
platform is here, Louis, right? To have
Yes.
some, we don't always have to go live. These things can be private
Private.
also and
Yeah.
just recorded. Um, have the father son, I think having it separate, the father son, and then maybe a father daughter But definitely the father son, because that son is growing up to be an example, whatever he sees or don't see. So and a lot of women, what we do now is we get into a relationship and we're like, oh hell. Now we realize that you didn't have a father role, or it wasn't a positive father role, or you didn't see, like you said, you didn't have a father. So how did you so you don't know how to interact with that woman, right?
Mhm.
And all of that. So it has a domino like ripple
Yeah.
effect.
And then the baby come and that even make it worse. You
That's
don't know
more
how to deal with
right,
they start growing up on you. And some of us become friends with our kids,
to
and
keep the
that's the
peace.
problem.
Yes.
That where, because we don't know where to draw the line, because oh, my daughter or my son gonna get mad with me and I want to be cool with them, and so we don't teach them in a firm way the process and the principles of life. That is what we're missing, to teach the principles of life to our young people. And so if we can at this stage in our life, as I say, brother, you're right in the 60s. I am right there the same way. Donna, we can start something and teach principles. That is what we're missing, the principles of life. What does the father role in the community, in the house, and the community? Because he's the head of the house, but he's also an example in the community. We don't do that. A lot of us don't. The wife also is right there beside. What does the role the wife does? Do you stop the husband from discipline the child because you want to be friend to? So there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom that we're lacking in order to make a better generation, and we really need to make a better generation of both kids
So
and
now it's about rebuilding. So we know the ideas, but it's about, and that's where the mentorship programs come in. I think the conversation, I think many young boys, young men would probably like to address their fathers and ask some questions. Some difficult conversations need to happen for people to heal. Because, we're dealing with a lot of unhealed childhood trauma on top of childhood trauma, and people are snapping and killing and doing all these things. Pressure after pressure after pressure on top of unhealed trauma.
mm. Renford, you didn't get the chance to make amend with your father. Did you get a chance to make amend with him at any
Yes,
time?
yes. So okay. So I was saying that when I was age 9, I wrote him a letter,
Right.
just asking him some deep questions, not
Yes.
cursing him, just like, where are you? Other people have their father, but he took umbrage to that. And then when my mother passed away, like when I was in my 40s, he began to like say some negative things to me, like because he was trying to justify himself. And then I wrote him back a few letters and just told him the hardship that we went through, and we were hungry and walked barefoot and suffer while he was in England and whatever. So that further destroyed the relationship. And he said to me, I guess Brother Louis, you know this, and Donna, he said he thought I disrespected him, and he said he's gonna take those letters and put them under him pillow.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And we never spoke. Listen, we never spoke for about 3 years. And then I wasn't doing well in my life physically. And then the Bible said, honor your mother and father, that your days may be long upon the earth. So I wrote him a letter of listen, this is the issue, that's what God is calling us to. In spite of the hurt and the abandonment and the rejection, we still have to honor God. You see, when you honor your mother and father, in spite of, then God honors you.
Right.
So I wrote him a letter of apology, and I actually went to England to look for him. And we spent 2 weeks together, and it was the 2 best weeks of my life with him.
Amen.
We
Amen.
toured. We was so happy. We went on trips. He was telling everybody, this is my son from England. That's why my mother passed away and said he was living alone. And we had dinner together and we set tables. So all that I lost for all those years of my life, we made it up in 2 weeks where we did everything together as father and son. All right?
Yes,
Yes.
very good.
We made it up. And on account of that, I think he had written a will. And then on account of my visit to him, he actually adjusted the will and everybody benefited because of that visit. So we were all beneficiaries, all because I repented and, forgave him for the hurt that he did and whatever, and made up. And then he died about 2 years later, during COVID. I wasn't able to go to the funeral. But yes, we had, in fact, the relationship got so good that we used to talk to each other back and forth from Canada to England, good friends. And
Yes.
my father, I realized that my father is very mild-mannered like me, has a great sense of humor. But I didn't get a chance to know that side of him because he wasn't there. But thank God we made up.
Amen to that.
But I know that we don't have. Yes, so thank God for that. And but I wanna touch something quickly where Donna said the implication that it has on girls when their fathers are in their life. Scientists are discovering that when men are involved in the life of their daughter, they give off some hormones called pheromones that the girls sort of pick up from the father, and it causes them less to be delay sexual activity until later year, just having the father in their life. And I remember my daughter gave me the greatest gift that she could have given me. I remember when I was in Canada and I took her to Walmart to shop one day, and young ladies, she spent forever in there, and I just sat down quietly in the car waiting for her, reading my newspaper. And when she came out, you know what she said to me? She said, "Dad, I want to marry to somebody just like you."
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Amen.
On her birthday, when I said, because she's doing well on account of my involvement in her life, she's doing well, went to university, got married, have a house, everything. And when I congratulated, she said, "Dad, I couldn't do it without you.
Amen.
You're the one who made it possible." So it's amazing that I did not have a father in my life. But you know what I did? You know what turned it around for me? I said, I don't want to be like my father. I'm going to go in the opposite direction.
Right.
So my father took 17 years to come back to Jamaica. When I went to Canada from Jamaica, within 3 months, my children were with me because I said, I'm not going to go in that direction. And that made a difference. And I've been completely involved in the life of my children, even sometimes more than their mothers. Like, take them out here, take them to library, take them to park, take them. And it makes a difference when fathers, we have something called rites of passage in the African tradition, where the men go away with their fathers for months and learn to hunt and fish and survive. We don't have the rites of passage in North America. And we need to get back to tradition like these, where fathers spend time with their the boys. Because you know that the family is built on men, basically speaking. When the men are in their rightful place, playing a rightful role, then the woman now can focus on her role, because what is happening with the absence of the father? The mother playing double role, play mother and father, go to work, come home, look after baby, go daycare center, go, too many things. So the formula that I have come up with in terms of the trajectory of our children is that you have uninvolved or absent father and overwhelmed mothers. And that is a recipe for disaster. And we need to change the equation where men begin to take on the role, carry the children to school, come to parent-teachers meeting, take them to the library, go to the park. In fact, I have created a book called The Relationship Toolkit. a practical guide to raising confident and resilient children and youth.
Let's
And I
see it.
have been actually distributing this in Jamaica. Little tips, like
Hold that
having
up again.
family, like it's called the Relationship Toolkit, a
We're not
practical
seeing it.
guide
We're
to,
not
We're not
seeing it.
seeing it. Bring it closer. Yeah, to you.
yeah, the Relation Toolkit. Yes, it contains approximately 400 little tips that you can incorporate in the relationship with your child. Because here's one that I'm just going to touch on one. Do you know that if you have a meal, at least 1 day per week, where you sit around the table with your children and have a meal together, it helps with reduction of sexual activity, crime, drug use, just having a meal together. Simple as that, a family meal. And if you can have it every day, oh my God, you're in heaven. That has been scientifically proven over and over again. But even if you just take your child out and take them to a park, go for a meal, or just that alone, sitting down and eating, and I introduced you to this. So this guy consists of things that I did and what I have researched over the last 30, 40 years, because I was well raised. Here's another thing that I did. I started to study to become a better father. Magazines and books and CDs, you name it. I had a library trying to learn to be a father, because where you get the teaching from? Who taught you? So I took it on and became intentional about it. I said, I'm going to learn to be a good father, because I'm not going to do what my father did. And I said, thank God I have great results. All my children went to college. They're not involved in any crime yet. Thank God. So
Yeah.
from the Waterhouse, fatherlessness, because it's all about your legacy. We must be intentional of passing on a legacy for the next generation. And that's what the Bible men did. Well, that we need to do. If you're rich and you don't pass on, all right. So the next thing I want to tell you, because I know we're going to close in a couple of minutes. I'm launching a campaign in Jamaica to recognize fathers. So as of Father's Day, it's not a Father's Day thing, it's a Father's campaign, where indefinitely we're going to identify fathers in the community and begin to validate them. So here, it said, the Love Revolution Certificate of Recognition and Appreciation, honoring excellence in fatherhood, community service, and nation building. This certificate proudly presents to, in recognition of your outstanding commitment as a father, mentor, role model. So we're going to walk through the community all over and distribute these. And on Father's Day, we'll be giving away 30 bottles of non-alcoholic wine to distinguish fathers in the community and give them a certificate like this. Hear what the bottom of it says. A good father leaves a legacy, not merely in what he gives his children, but in who he inspires them to become.
Yes.
We as Black people need to start to be generational. If my children does not do better than I am, I have failed. All right? And thank God,
Hold
my
on to
daughter
that.
is doing.
I know Lois has to bow out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you
finished
so,
now.
Brother Renford. Man, it's
Yeah.
good. We got to continue this, man. You always have a lot of good, reasoning to give everybody. I like that idea of the certificate. I think that's a brilliant idea. I will chime in at some point with you and see how we can help in helping you getting some of those certificates, because I know there's money involved with those things. So I'll get with you on that. Very good idea.
Yes.
Thank you again, man, for coming in and sharing your story and your knowledge and your input. Dr. Arlene, thank you as usual for being here. And Donna, we'll catch up later. Got to run.
Yes.
Coming up next, everybody, we will have
Maybe next week we can talk about the physical health and all the updates from your progress, Louis.
Awesome. Not a problem. Thank you. And we'll continue next week at the same time.
Thank you.
All right. So as
Bye-bye.
Louis drops off, he's got another program at 8. So I definitely love the strategy. Um, Ren would give him the certificate. I'm sure it will be appreciated. Let's see.
And it will be an inspiration to the ones
Mm-hmm.
that need to step up. And we need to validate our men. So we need, so rather than being negative and cursing them out, we're gonna be positive. And guess what? It don't have to be something great. Just say you are a father, find some small thing that you're doing well
Mm-hmm.
and recognize them for it. And this is how you encourage and spur growth and development and betterment rather than be negative. We're going in the opposite way. We're going to acknowledge them, validate them, and in so doing, we're going to start a revolution of real fatherhood.
And give tips because I like that because sometimes, yeah, if you grew up in a house with no father, you didn't have a good role, where do you start, you know? So
Yeah.
I like that, giving bringing solutions to the table. Thank you, Dr. Arlene. Last words.
Thank you so much for coming on again to share this important information about the impact of the fatherless homes, the impact of fatherless on the children and this generational negative trajectory that we have. I like your ideas. I remember doing that in my church many years ago with this affirmation of the fathers, presenting them with certificates and a nice dinner and stuff like that. When it comes on to for Mother's Day, we can have a wonderful program. All our young people come out, but on the when we have our Father's Day and we want to put on a nice program, the young people are not coming out because many of them are being raised in homes where there are no fathers, probably never seen them or whatever is the situation is. So I always feel bad when Father's Day come around because we cannot have the same program for the fathers. So unless we put it on for them, but the involvement of the young people, very few can count on my finger. And it does not having a father in growing up has impacted my relationships. I can see that, it's not all that it should be. And I see with my brothers, there were no fathers, no father. But thanks be to God, we could be worse than we are. But by the grace of God, church, mentorship, having a wonderful community of believers and people who encourage and support, we have come out conquerors. So I like the mentorship. It's important if we, find young people and support and mentor them. Thank you again.
And let's realize that relationships can be bonded, right? You can have, I didn't grow up with a dad either. I didn't have a relationship with my father until because he moved away to Canada. A lot of us, but you can still have, now I have a beautiful relationship. I've had a beautiful relationship since early 20s with my dad, and he's very involved with his grandchildren and great grandchildren. So it can be restored. Again, if mom is not, there's a lot of dynamics to it. And dad has to always want to be, he has to want to also be in your life. So sometimes the father has a new life and doesn't want anything from the past. So there's a lot of moving parts, but let's begin healing, appreciating. Like I said, sometimes people have unhealed traumas and they just grow up, but it's still there.
Yeah.
So let's pray for our fathers, our mothers and fathers, but especially pray for our men in these roles that take on the responsibility, and a lot are not equipped. We're seeing the physical build, but that emotional and mental and spiritual health is probably not as strong as the physical health. So let's pray and ask to break generational curses and cycles and things that way before us happened that's been passed on negatively in our culture, how the men are referring to the women, and the identity on both sides has gotten warped. So a lot of prayer is needed for us, human beings on a whole. So with that, we love you, dads and fathers, and make the bond. Call your children. Yeah, it's been a long time. Reach out and call or text and just say, I love you. Let's have these conversations and let's continue this. All right, Ren, last words, how people can find you and help to contribute to you.
Yes, I'm on Facebook. My name is Renford Jeffrey, and I have a lot of stuff on Facebook, and my number. All right, so this, as I said, to give out these certificates, it will be an ongoing campaign, and we are printing them up and identifying fathers. And if you want to contribute towards it, purchase some of these certificates, or if you have somebody in Kingston and St. Andrew here where you say you want us to give them a certificate, so we're gonna read it to them, put your name on it, and sign off. This will further encourage them. They can get in touch with me, 876-783-8562. WhatsApp 876-783-8562. And I'm just gonna close with a scripture in Malachi chapter 4. God laid this on my heart from the very day I came into Jamaica, the very moment. Malachi 4, verse 5 and 6. It said, the verse 6 said, and he's going to turn the hearts of the fathers back to the children and the hearts of the children back to the father. He said he's going to send Elijah. Well, people in the spirit of Elijah, and that's what we're doing. When God wants to turn the hearts of the fathers back to the children. That means relationship. When you talk about heart, it means love. Love. Fathers, when the fathers begin to love their children and act in their best interest, and the children reciprocate that love, it's gonna bring healing. It's gonna bring restoration. It is the only way. Love is the only way.
Right.
And that's why we're advancing the love revolution. So fathers out there, look out. The love revolution is coming your way.
Yes, and you know what would be awesome, and maybe if you
Yeah.
did little snippets of you presenting your certificates to the dads. So if anyone in the diaspora wants that
Yes.
to send you something, and you can read it off and present it to them physically if they're not able to.
I will be posting on Facebook.
Mhm.
So this is a campaign. Some people from Canada come on board with me, and we're passionate about it, and it will be indefinite. As many fathers that we can reach, we're going to reach them. It is the only way to go, and we must, once and for all, begin to the process of restoration, break all the chains and what was passed on from slavery and whatever. Finally, we must break it and
Yes.
move in a new direction. That's the only way. The cost
Restore
is too great
identity.
not to do. Yes.
I love it. Campaign
Restore.
Restore Identity. It's so needed across the board. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. The love revolution. That's the biggest commandment.
Yeah.
Love conquers
Love.
everything, but it's not
Yeah.
just saying it, it's that heart
Yeah.
level, not just mounting off and give you a little money.
No,
No, no, no, no. It's from the heart.
yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
as
Thank
usual.
you.
Happy Father's Day.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day.
I will connect with
Yeah.
you, Ren, about your
Yeah.
certificates. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that the project and the campaign. May God continue to bless and guide you and just protect you in all areas of your life, and just bless. May the windows of heaven just open up and just
Pour it out.
overflow into your life, and part of all areas of your life, your health, your wealth, and happiness. And so with that, everyone, we say good night, and until next time,
Bye.
God bless.
God bless.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Renford.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.